and welcome back to Trojan Sports Now. With me today is Gemma Finch from the track and field team, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So let's kind of talk about your journey over to the United States, kind of, let people know that you're not from here and kind of tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so I'm originally from England. I came out here as a freshman. I kind of decided I wanted to focus on track, but at home you don't really get that opportunity. It's very much more focused on academics. And obviously with the NCAA, you really get that chance to kind of balance the two. So that's why I ended up coming out here, and I went to 4 different schools and visited all of those, and Troy ended up being my favorite. So here we are 4 years later in my senior year of track. So,
not trying to spoil the competition or anything, but what are the other schools that you got a chance to visit and kind of get to know?
Yeah, we actually went on 4 visits in 10 days, so it was a really crazy trip all over the US. But we went to Kennesaw in Georgia, McNeese, and also Illinois State. It was actually snowing when we went there. And then we came down to Troy, and it was like 80 degrees in January. So yeah, I was pretty locked in on Troy.
So how did the coaches find out about you and everything?
I went through a recruiting agency initially, kind of got my name out to a few different schools, and then actually ended up contacting a few ourselves, and Troy was one of the ones that we were kind of interested in. I actually got recruited initially as a heptathlete rather than the 800. So they had a few girls that were doing really well in the heptathlon at the time in the conference, and it was kind of whereabouts I was in terms of my point scoring. So that's kind of how I ended up at Troy. Overall, it was just like the best package, like the school, the sport management program, the coaches, just everything really seemed right.
Which is good. Did you play any other sports when you were in school?
Yeah, I did gymnastics for quite a few years. That was kind of my main sport. And then I did the usual like swimming, hockey, netball, those kind of things. But I started track probably seriously around, I don't know, maybe 15, 16. And then started with the heptathlon. And then it was my sophomore year that I actually decided I wanted to focus on the 800. So.
What kind of drew you to track and kind of like, I wouldn't say just forgot about the other sports, but kind of just you figured out that would be your main focus?
Yeah, track I think has always been part of my life. My dad was a runner, so I've always been around track. And I'd always be like so interested in watching track on TV and going to meets and things like that. I didn't get into it too early, which I think is good. I did gymnastics for quite a long time. And then starting track at like those kind of like teen years, I was really passionate about it, and I actually just started with a high jump and long jump, and then I wanted to try this, and then I wanted to try that, and then all of a sudden I was doing heptathlon, so that's kind of how I got into it originally.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I know it's good to weigh your options and try different things out. So talk about a little bit about your experience, not only being at Troy, but since freshman year being in the United States.
Yeah, I've really loved it here. The sports scene is just completely something different in America. The professional scene, the collegiate scene, but the NCAA is like absolutely incredible. It's something we just don't have at home. But I really love the opportunity to be able to travel with a team, just have that environment of staying in hotels, going to big meets. It's just completely different. Like a lot of meets at home, there'll just be hardly anyone there, and it's just in America, like you have those big meets like Florida relays and Penn relays, and it's just a completely different environment.
And mentioning that, you guys just finished up at the strawberry relays, but kind of talk about what area or what place do you like to compete at the most?
In terms of location?
Yes.
I think for outdoors, I do really love Florida relays. Hopefully the weather will be really good. It's only a few weeks away. It's a little cold still, but hopefully it'll be nice and hot for the Florida relays. And then Penn relays is up in Philadelphia, which is obviously just like so different. It's being in the city. The stadium is huge, so I think the team really loves that meet.
So let's go back to the strawberry relays. Kind of talk about how the team did and what some hot spots you saw, because you guys are just coming from competing in the USAs, but now you're moving back to, the normal meets, but kind of talk about how the team did.
Yeah, for the strawberry relays, we actually only sent the men's throwers.
Okay.
So I know from looking at the results and everything on social media, they did a really great job. I think we had PRs in the hammer, the disc. So yeah, I think the men had a really good start to their season. So we're looking good for the next meet.
And let's talk about you setting a couple of personal bests yourself. How big is that for you? You know, did you think when you started in this career, did you think that you would be here now?
I think in terms of being here now, I don't know, obviously starting with a heptathlon, I think I'd suddenly be running 2:10 in like the Sunbelt Conference 2 years later. But no, I had a really good season. I actually, leading up to conference, I either PR'd or won every single race. So I was going into conference like mentally and physically in a really good place. But no, I think you kind of handle those expectations of yourself as you go along, and those goals just become like something of habit. It's just something you're going at.
Now, for people, let's say freshmen, or even the freshmen that you guys have on your team now, who look up to you, what are some things that you do to prepare to have a pretty good competition?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just see practice as something that prepares us for competition. You know, if you don't put the work in practice, you don't get those fast races. Even to get into the fast races, you've got to be able to like get through the heats and then make the finals and things like that. So I think we just make sure we take practice seriously. Just simple things like finishing through the line. It's not much to ask, but that can really come down to it in like a 200, a 400, even the 800. So it's just seeing practice as an important part of the like track journey, I guess.
Right. Is there a certain type of diet that you had to change or, you know, switch up when you started track?
Honestly, no. I'm pretty lucky as a middle distance runner, but it's just all about balance. It's like moderation. If you want to eat something unhealthy, then you can do that, but it's just like eating sensibly, I suppose, yeah.
So since you've been at Troy, what is your favorite spot to eat here? It doesn't have to be, you know, limited to campus, but what is your favorite place to eat here?
I'd probably say Rodeo. We don't really have Mexican restaurants that much in England.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a big thing in America, so I've really loved that.
What do you get from there?
Probably.
I'm a shrimp fan, so I'm gonna get shrimp every time I go.
Oh, I'd probably go cheese quesadilla and a beef burrito.
Okay. And since I asked about that in Troy, what about on campus? What is one of your favorite spots to eat here on campus?
On campus, I'd probably go for Einstein's.
Yeah.
Pretty
Agreed.
safe, bagels, coffee, all that kind of good stuff.
Agreed. So what are some things that you saw last season that you guys have already bettered this season? And, you know, some things that you might have struggled with that you guys are like, okay, we can capitalize off of what happened last year, but fix this year.
Yeah, last year we were pretty strong in the relays. I was actually redshirting last year, but we did medal in the 4x4, the 4x1 outdoors. And then indoors, just passed in February, we did manage to win the 4x4 and the distance medley relay. So I think going on to outdoors, we're in a really strong position for the 4x4. We, as the women, we haven't won that in a good while. So having that win under our belts indoors really puts us in a strong position for outdoors.
So for outdoors, what are some things that you guys may have to, you know, maybe that you see that you're going to have to work on to get that win?
I think we're in a pretty strong position, honestly. We have probably 5 or 6 girls that can be on that 4x4. So I think if we can all stay strong and healthy, then we should be in a good position to run fast there. But I think across all the events, we're looking good. We have some girls that will be coming into the outdoor season, adding to the 400. We should have 3 girls there in the final. Same with the 200, the 60, the hurdles, and then the same with the field events. I think we're looking really strong for outdoors.
Which is good. Mm-hmm. Is there any team that you have to get revenge on this year?
I think, well, we beat a couple of really strong teams indoors. We actually beat South Alabama by, I think it was 11 points.
Wow.
So obviously that's a school rival there. So it'd be great to follow through with that outdoors too.
Well, best of luck to you guys the rest of this season. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Stick around for more on Trojan Sports Now.